Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about I feel addicted to my ex.
It does feel like an addiction.
It really does. What is an addiction when you think about it? I mean, why, people think drugs, that's like the first thing you think of, but people can be addicted to many different things.
There's process addictions where you're addicted to like gaming, let's say, or gambling.
Yep. So there's all kinds of addictions. And an ex can very much become an addiction for you and take over your life. So today we're going to talk about that, those feelings like you just can't stop ruminating or thinking about your ex or obsessing about things. Many times you put your ex on a pedestal. They were amazing and perfect and you were horrible.
Yeah. You do see a lot of these symptoms, a lot of these ways of thinking about your ex. So when we do talk about this addictive quality that we often see in breakups, we're talking about obsessive thinking, that they just can't get out of your mind. You find yourself daydreaming and it goes immediately to what happened during the breakup, what your ex is doing, where the relationship's going to go, and you replay these scenarios over and over and over again to regain some type of sense of control.
Yeah.
And it sometimes feels like it's out of your control, that thought just pops up. Like you mentioned, putting them on a pedestal. Also, some people can experience physical symptoms where you can't eat or you can't sleep because you're thinking about them so much. It's affecting your body. You feel so overwhelmed and overwhelmed with grief, this feeling of loss.
Yeah. And you can't turn it off. It's like you go to sleep and you dream about them. The second you wake up and you think about them. It's, my gosh.
And the mornings are the worst when you wake up and realize this is real life. They decided this. And
I used to have all kinds of nightmares. I mean, some of them I could still think about, like to this day. I remember telling them to Margaret. It's just like, they're so powerful and they hit you so deep. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it's such a disorienting time in general. When you never expected your life to go in this direction and you're waking up without your person next to you, it's a jolt.
Yeah, it kind of feels like you're on a carousel going round and around, but you're in a fog. And so you're just, the same things keep coming up in your mind. Where are they at? What are they doing? And you can't even think clearly, right? And it's just obsessively, your unconscious keeps going back to where are they at? What are they doing? Who are they with? Looking at their social media, replaying events, thinking about what you're going to do, fantasizing about what you're going to do to fix it. I'll send them a letter. I'll do a grand gesture. I'll send them a clean slate message.
Yeah. And often your friends and family are up to here with it because you were talking about them constantly and bringing them up every chance that you have. Maybe your friend is talking about, the new basketball game that's coming up, and you're just thinking, me and my ex used to watch basketball, and you find your way to guide it into the conversation.
Yeah.
So,
or you're like, if I go to the game with you, then maybe my ex will see it on social media and they'll miss me.
Or maybe my ex will be there.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just enjoy the game. It's like about them and the game somehow.
So this is what we're talking about when we talk about this addiction-like feeling with an ex. So first, we're going to talk about some of those physiological symptoms. We did talk about the difficulty with eating and sleeping, but what are some other ways that a breakup affects our bodies?
Yeah, the eating and sleeping one was big for me. I'll tell you, I could not eat. I would eat like a couple of saltines and a Gatorade, like I'm sick. You know what I mean? And that would be it. That's all I could do. It was just, I kept losing weight, you know?
Yeah, and in many ways, it's just like stopping cold turkey from a substance that you're dependent on.
But you can't, with a substance, you could say, I'm not going to use this substance anymore. I'm not going to, drink this alcohol anymore. But you can't just switch it off with an ex.
Right, and a lot of times it's that unilateral decision. Your ex made that decision. You had no say in it. It didn't come from your willingness or your motivation. And so you're left with those repercussions. Yeah, and so our bodies and minds, they like routine, they like habits, they like patterns, and they look for patterns. So more than likely, you had a type of routine with your ex.
Yeah.
whether that be good morning texts, whether that be going to get lunch every day together, whether that be even nighttime rituals where you kiss each other before you go to sleep, you say goodnight. All of these little patterns, they're ways of connecting and bonding with your partner, yes, but also your body is registering them as happening on about the same time every day.
Mm-hmm.
So your body gets used to that, and once that's taken away, it can really be like a shock.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you can tell your body what time to wake up, and I'm not suggesting you do, right? Because all of a sudden you'll be like, you told me, and I overslept and missed work. But honestly, like, it's weird. Like, sometimes I feel like I can tap into my unconscious with myself, where I'll tell myself, I'm going to get up at this time tomorrow, and somehow I do it. You don't know how or why it's able to do it, but there's a lot going on in your unconscious that you're not aware about.
Mm-hmm. And with our bodies, we become connected with our ex, and our bodies begin to associate them as a safe person. It's things as detailed as their scent, their pheromones, and all of that science, how their skin feels, the way they walk. I was going to meet a friend for lunch the other day, and I could see through the window, like very far away, that my friend was walking towards the restaurant because of their gait, because of the way that they were walking. And I just found that really interesting, how from so far away, I was able to notice that and identify him. And likewise with an ex, you become so attuned to this person that in a huge crowd of people, you could point them out quicker than anybody else.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's like less than a second in your unconscious, it's there. It's not even a fraction of a second.
Mm-hmm. Your body recognizes them as part of your tribe. So when that person isn't there, it's a shock, and you start to feel unsafe, unsettled.
Your whole way of being feels completely thrown into a giant chaotic mess, right? It's hard to even articulate what's going on because there's so many things going on at once. But when we don't feel that person is close to us with that safety, and we feel that distance, it creates that anxiety, that separation anxiety. And like when you're a child, an infant, a baby, a toddler, if you toddle too far away from your parents, your instinct kicks in and says, go back to your secure base. Go find your mom and your dad. If you get lost in the store, you cry, you shut down, you're panicking, separation anxiety. And everything inside you, that alarm system is going on in all kinds of different deep levels of our brain, like the alligator part of our brain, that's just telling us, reconnect or die. And it's obsessively this alarm telling you, taking over your entire body, reconnect or you're going to die.
Yeah. And physiologically, this can look like your digestive system being all out of whack.
I have to tell you, I've probably said this before. When I go through a breakup, my stomach, my intestines make the weirdest noises all day long. It's like gurgling, and it almost sounds like they're moving all around. And I only get that like when I'm in a breakup, but it'll be like, and it's all day.
Oh my God.
It's so weird.
And we can't forget your diarrhea.
Oh, we can't forget that. Maybe that's why the intestines are moving around. There's nothing in there.
Maybe.
They're light as a feather. They're all going up.
I swear people are going to start to associate our channel with diarrhea. Is that the diarrhea guy? Oh, yeah.
I love that guy.
You do mention it quite often.
Hey, listen, it's true.
And many of you actually on calls will tell me, it's so funny when I think about it. Many of you on calls will tell me, like, I haven't been able to eat, I haven't been able to sleep, and the diarrhea. So it is something that's real and something that we do experience. Our bodies are reacting to that level of stress.
Yeah.
When you think about cortisol and what that does to our body, even long-term effects of that type of stress,
yeah,
it's there and it's present. So we say all of this to remind you that you're not crazy. Your body is not strange or different, or there's something wrong with it. Of course there might be. So check in with the doctor if you have any serious symptoms. However, these are things that we do see commonly when you're going through a breakup.
Yep, and I've lived all those different feelings too. And I know what it's like, and it's horrible. It's It's so horrible because you feel out of control. Your body feels out of control. Your body's doing all kinds of things that you can't control.
Still thinking about the diarrhea thing.
Well, who can blame you?
Yeah, it's funny.
And many of you watching right now, if you're honest with yourself, you have diarrhea. So leave a comment and acknowledge your pain, because I'm telling you, so you might as well admit it too.
The other thing that our bodies emit sometimes is also adrenaline. And this can spike up our energy, but also make us feel exhausted. So I don't know if many of you are experiencing this weird feeling of feeling energized, but at the same time exhausted all of the time.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because it's like, how am I feeling both of these at the same time?
Mm-hmm. And we start to feel like we need information about our ex to feel connected with them, to feel safe, to calm us down. And this is really what drives a lot of those behaviors of stalking them. You know, it's almost like this obsessive compulsive thing. We have this obsessive thought. We think that by checking their social media, it will calm us down. It does the opposite. And it becomes this really crazy loop.
Yeah, reconnect or die. Mm-hmm. Reconnect or die. And that's what it feels like on some deep level, this alarm. And so that's a big part of why you're so addicted, is because it is rooted in your survival, or it feels like it. Because at one point in your life, it would have meant your survival when you were obviously a child or a baby and you couldn't take care of yourself. So it's still there, right? Just like a turtle would instinctually go in its shell, even as a baby turtle. When it's an adult, does the same thing, right? Even though it's an adult, maybe it can snap back and bite back. Especially, you should see these Florida turtles.
Oh,
they are
gosh.
Pretty ruthless, right? And they'll take your finger off. They're massive, right? So the point is that system that's wired into us is a big part of why you're feeling out of control, and that you can't shut off this obsessive thought process that you're having, and that you're just feeling completely addicted. But the good news is that it won't stay like this forever, okay? It does get better over time. And actually, if you do many of the strategies that people do to recover from addiction, it can be helpful. Yes, with a breakup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's many things that you can do that are very similar to things that treat addictions, or things that are helpful when somebody is addicted and it is in recovery. Mm-hmm. So one of the biggest things is making sure that you have a strong support system. This is huge. You know, the people around you that care about you can really be a huge motivating factor for you to get to that next step of healing. Mm-hmm. And they're there for a reason. You know, being able to be vulnerable with them and depend on them can really turn things around for you. And I know many friends and family, they're not going to have the best advice. And you don't need to take their advice. You can just say, hey, I just need an ear to listen.
Yeah, to talk about it. Just get it out.
Mm-hmm. The other big thing is going to therapy. We are thrilled to hear that so many of you after this breakup are going to therapy. Some of you for the first time ever. Others of you are realizing that a revisit to therapy is helpful.
And Margaret will be especially thrilled if it's not cognitive behavioral.
That's true. She was more on the psychodynamic
process, yes,
yeah,
process oriented,
right, and attachment therapists. You know, there's plenty of therapists who do focus specifically on relationships and specifically in attachment. So seek out professional help for your situation. We always encourage that. Also having some accountability for when you relapse, meaning for when you do get to that weak point where you're feeling the urge to reach out to an ex if you're in no contact, or to stalk their social media.
Or their house.
Yeah. This can be accountability with yourself, but also having alternative things that you can do. If you feel the urge to reach out to an ex, text a friend instead. You know, have something
with
planned.
The same name.
Oh gosh, be careful there.
But change their name in their phone. Your phone.
Right? Be careful. I've seen too many accidents.
Oh,
Accidentally FaceTimed her.
Oh, so often.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times you guys are going back to look at old messages.
Yeah, be careful. Also, self-help and self-reflection. This is something we also highly encourage. Journaling for some of you is really helpful. And
The creative healing course is
and the
huge.
workbooks.
And the workbooks, yes.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, finding healthy alternatives in general. You know, of course, we don't want you to fill up your schedule to the brim to where you don't have time to really sit with yourself and process those emotions. But, you know, also giving yourself some time for self-care, for interacting with your community, with your friends and your family. So making sure that you're well supported all around.
Absolutely. Breakups aren't easy. You're going to go through a lot of different things that you've probably never felt before, experienced before, and it's a lot. It's not easy. The more you focus on your personal growth, the better off you're going to be. Regardless of what happens with your ex, you can control how you handle it. And the more maturely and responsibly you handle it yourself, the healthier you're going to be and the faster you're going to get there.
And you have to believe that you can get through this. I hear so often on so many calls, many of you saying, I just can't do it. I just can't stop thinking about him or her.
Yeah.
I just can't. You cannot have this type of mentality moving forward.
It gets better.
It does get better, and you have to tell yourself, I can do this. And you can. We really do believe that you can. It is possible. We've seen it time and time again. The human mind and body has an incredible capacity to heal.
Absolutely. But you have to do the work. It's not going to happen magically. All right. So hopefully this one's been helpful to you. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can go to my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you need to talk.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.